When city governance meets surveillance technology, every shovel could create data.
New York City's communist mayor Zohran Mamdani is getting absolutely destroyed by his own voters after pulling the oldest Democrat trick in the book. He promised to tax only the rich during his campaign, but now he's threatening a crushing 9.5% property tax hike on everyone to cover his massive budget deficit. The buyer's remorse is so real that even longtime Democrats are calling him out publicly. You see, this affects every single person in New York City, whether you own property or rent property. Owners will get slammed with nearly 10% higher taxes, and renters will see those costs passed directly to them through higher rent. Small businesses are already struggling with vacant storefronts post-COVID, and this will crush what's left of New York's economy. But here's the really infuriating part. While Mamdani demands higher taxes from hardworking families, he's cutting 5,000 police officers and bloating the city budget with millions for DEI bureaucrats, diversity officers, and cultural programs. He's literally prioritizing woke ideology over public safety while your taxes skyrocket. Can't make this up. And speaking of priorities, there's something critical happening right now that most people are missing completely. Yes, breaking tonight, while Wall Street fixates on gold and silver and headline commodities, there's a strategic battle quietly driving defense policy, military procurement, and geopolitical planning behind the scenes. It's not flashy, and most investors never even discuss it, but governments and defense contractors are stockpiling it aggressively. Now, this metal, it powers everything from advanced weapon systems to critical infrastructure that keeps America secure. While politicians waste taxpayer money on DEI programs, smart Americans are positioning themselves in the resources that actually matter for national security. I'm talking about titanium. Yeah, I have titanium in my wedding band. You see, the supply chains are tightening, and demand from defense contractors is surging. And most people have no idea that this opportunity exists. And SAGA Metals has the inside track on this strategic resource that's flying completely under the radar. Now, take a look at the full briefing that's been prepared just for you at the link in the description, and we thank them for supporting this program. Now back to the New York disaster that's unfolding in real time. Here's what makes this even more outrageous. Angry New Yorkers are confronting Mamdani directly at public meetings, telling him he's out of his goddamn mind for using them as negotiating tactics. Even Democrat advisor Melissa DeRosa admits this is political self-ending and the complete betrayal of his affordability promises. The man literally campaigned on solving the affordability crisis and immediately makes everything less affordable. And this just in, update, to register to shovel snow in Mamdani's New York City, you must present 2 forms of ID plus a social security card. And we're talking about being called a racist if you ask for ID to vote. Discrimination. But in New York, you got to have 2 forms of ID and a social security card. Yeah, see it right there on your screen? To register for an appointment, workers must have 2 small photos, 2 original forms of ID plus copies and a social security card. I mean, make it make sense, folks. The snow shoveling registration requirement is about to get even more ridiculous when you hear the full details. Gunter Eagleman, LMFAO, New York's DSA mayor, is not only failing at basic mayoral duties, but he's getting mocked across the spectrum for everything he does. The American people are realizing that commie Fs like Mamdani are dipshits. He's hiring emergency snow shovelers.
Mayor of and a member of the Democratic Socialists of America opposes voter ID laws. His party has called measures like the SAVE Act racist and discriminatory. But if you want to shovel snow in the Big Apple during an emergency, you better bring your paperwork. According to the New York City Sanitation Department website, to register as an emergency snow shoveler, applicants must show up with 2 small photos, 2 original forms of ID, plus copies and your Social Security card. That is more, that's more than you're required to fly. This is much more onerous than the TSA. The city says the ID requirements are about verifying identity, eligibility, and payroll compliance. Oh, so now you care if somebody is legal in this country. But when is ID considered a safeguard, and when is it considered a barrier? Jackie's face, if her face
as somebody who goes to the polls myself and voluntarily takes out my ID only to get laughed at here in New York for showing an ID, I'm finding this rather curious. A Mamdani spokesperson told the New York Post this regarding the situation. As with any employer, the city of New York has a legal obligation under federal law to verify work authorization and maintain proper documentation before issuing payment. We are not legally permitted to hand out checks without completing that process. So they are following the strict letter of the law here, but we are a glorious sanctuary city.
Can't make it up, folks. The hypocrisy gets sharper when Mamdani himself tries to defend the requirements. Mamdani on why you need ID plus social security card and photos to get paid $19 an hour to shovel New York City snow.
There's been this controversy over the snow laborers and the sort of what some see as onerous need to have documentation. Can you just talk about if that's new and what you make of the controversy?
This is all long-standing. This is a long-standing program and long-standing requirements, and this is a way that New Yorkers get paid to shovel snow in assistance with the city's response to a winter storm event. Federal law requires that employers get authorization and documentation to pay people for their work. We are not allowed to just cut checks to individuals for their work. And these are the policies that we've had in place, but I understand that for many it's the first time that they've ever heard about it.
Yeah, Mamdani. The guy's a joke. Mamdani blasted for requiring 5 forms of ID to shovel, while DSA opposes voter ID. The contradiction becomes crystal clear when you see how this compares to voting requirements. Mamdani is begging New Yorkers to sign up to shovel snow after mountains of snow and garbage were left on streets for weeks. He asked people to register online, which requires ID. ID to shovel snow, but no ID to vote.
Utilizing 33 DSNY vans and 2 DSNY buses to transport shovelers where they're needed faster. And for those who want to do more to help your neighbors and earn some extra cash, you too can become an emergency snow shoveler. Just show up at your local sanitation garage between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. tomorrow with your paperwork, which is accessible online at nyc.gov/snow, and you can get started right away.
But you don't need an ID to vote. Yeah. Fareed Zakaria, blue cities are out of control, promising more spending, but delivering less. This is on CNN.
Is really a prime example of a problem Democrats seem unwilling to confront. Blue cities are out of control, promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing off the fiscal problems to some future day. Take Los Angeles, another one-party metropolis wrestling with affordability and disorder. The city's homelessness budget for fiscal year 2025-26 totals about $950 million. The LA Homelessness Services Authority reported that in 2023, homelessness was up 9% countywide and 10% in the city. And a 2024 AP account noted that homelessness has surged 70% countywide since 2015 and 80% in the city. All this amid public frustration despite billions spent. An audit reviewed $2.4 billion in city homelessness funding and found that officials could not reliably track where it went or what it achieved. Or take Chicago, with a mayor whose approval rating is deep underwater, where the pension promises are so large that they will surely bankrupt the city at some point. What is the theory of good government here? If the answer is keep adding programs, the city will keep producing unaffordability, because unaffordability is what happens when government becomes a machine that grows faster than the society it governs. Zohran Mamdani's basic instinct is correct. Focus on affordability, especially housing, but not by providing government subsidies. These only seem to have driven up the cost of rent, as subsidies naturally do. The city's rental assistance spending rose from $263 million in fiscal year 2020 to $1.34 billion in the most recently reported fiscal year. That is a 5 times increase in a handful of years, and housing costs only got worse.
What's funny here is that's on CNN. CNN is calling out blue cities. The criticism is escalating beyond just the snow issue to Mamdani's entire governance approach. Mamdani has just issued a travel ban for New York City and closed bridges, tunnels, and streets with justification, better stay home. A travel ban?
Mamdani just issued a travel ban in New York City, shutting down the bridges, the tunnels, the streets, saying you better stay your ass in your house. Isn't that interesting? And if you do want to come outside, you got to bring your documentation, bring your papers, bring 2 pieces of ID, social security card, pictures. And the only way you can come outside is if you're working for us, you shoveling that snow. So interesting how socialism feels so much like authoritarianism. But don't worry, you'll have the warmth of collectivism to keep you comfy.
Wow. The warmth of collectivism. Yeah, isn't that cute? We told you. Unfortunately, you just refused to listen. Now, you residents are shocked. All voters out there, pay attention.
Donnie, this guy's been mayor of New York City for 1 month, okay? What he promised was a free bus for everybody, grocery stores run by the government for, poor people to get food, which is a good thing, I think. And that rent was going to go down. Those were like the big 3 things he promised everybody. So today he's got his first meeting with the city about the budget. And what he says is, I'm raising property taxes on everybody by 10%, okay? Rent's not going to go down, actually. He's draining $1 billion from the rainy day fund, which I don't even know what that is, but it doesn't sound good. And none of the free stuff that he promised is actually happening.
None of it's happening. It is just going down the shitter there in New York. Democrat advisor Melissa DeRosa reacts to Mamdani's proposed property tax hike.
It's very interesting because he ran an entire campaign on affordability, right? Saying affordability crisis, affordability crisis, affordability crisis. And now he's basically saying to Kathy Hochul, he's putting a gun to his own head, and he's saying, give me your wallet or I'll shoot. Because this is political suicide if he were to do something like this. And it would impact not just people, who are renting, because obviously real estate owners pass along these tax increases to the people who are renting and to homeowners, but small businesses. There are still far too many vacant storefronts in New York City post-COVID. So this would have ripple effects that are unending.
Keep raising taxes. New York Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani getting roasted for the epic waste and priorities gone wrong while pushing huge property taxes.
Equity, $4.6 million, Commission on Racial Equity, $835,000, Commission on Gender Equity, $260,000 for Department of Education, Chief Diversity Officer, $301,000 for 3 FDNY civilian Chief Diversity Inclusion Officers. There's a title for you. And $118,000 for an FDNY Chief Diversity Inclusion Officers. Is that necessary stuff? You can't cut that back?
And a list of things to do when it comes to public safety? Absolutely not. Public safety's got to be in the top of your list. So we can't pay for everything. Everything can't be for free. But what you need is cops out in the street. Tell me how all these programs are going to help when you're getting robbed in the middle of the street.
Yeah, and
how that works.
Yeah, you tell me. Believe me, he's about to find out, sadly. Mamdani's progressive agenda includes new budgets items like $750,000 for Art and Cultural Fund, $800,000 for anti-ageism, $437 million for child care vouchers, LGBTQ emergency for $2 million. It goes on. And you pointed out his climate change budget. What's he spending on that?
Something like a climate management office for.
Oh, my goodness. New Yorkers are waking up fast. Buyer's remorse is real after voting for socialist Zohran Mamdani.
With the greatest respects, in every campaign speech, in every debate where you engage, we opened our ears to listen. Now today, accept the words echoing from us now. Do your job as mayor and leave our taxes out.
Having only two options. You're saying if we don't tax the rich, then I got to increase property taxes. We are not a pawn in Southeast Queens. We are not part of your negotiation tactics. Zohran Mamdani, you are out your goddamn mind.
So this is the socialist playbook in action, folks. Promise everything, blame the rich, then stick working families with the bill while expanding government bureaucracy. Mamdani allocated $750,000 for arts funding and millions for LGBTQ emergency programs. But he's cutting cops when crime is already out of control. New Yorkers are waking up to what they've actually voted for. And this is exactly what happens when you elect communists who promise free everything. They campaign on taxing someone else, then immediately come for your wallet while spending your money on woke priorities instead of basic services like public safety. New Yorkers thought they were getting affordable government, but they're getting the opposite. Higher taxes, fewer cops, and more bureaucrats. The buyer's remorse is real because the promises were fake from day one. Do you think New Yorkers will finally learn their lesson about voting for communists who promise the impossible? Check out the Next News merch shop and let me know in the comments.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.